Alright, it's 3:36, so it's been just coming up on 23 hours. This is where I'm at. As you can see, I'm actually, in this measurement, I'm down 4 inches in one day. Now, actually vertically, I'd say it's more like 2.5. But, this is going to be my relative measurement, so I'm losing what I think that's a lot. To me, that's a lot. So, yeah, I'm going to check it one more time tomorrow afternoon, and then I'll anticipate at this rate, we may be down near the 8 mark, and then I plan to do the soil floc right after that, and add no water, and just see the results. Alright, let's check this out. I'm trying to move fast because it's very rare we get a full-on 0-mile-an-hour wind. I was going to wait a little longer, but I'm not. I'm just going to jump on it. So here we are. It's about 6.5 inches. So it's losing at a rate consistently. I'm not going to do the math right now. I'll summarize that later. But based on no wind, I'm going to cut these packs open, jump in that kayak. It's still pretty cold. It's I don't know, it's probably like maybe 50 right now, so I'm gonna hope to not get too wet. I got safety glasses, I got gloves, I got trash old pants. I'm not even gonna clean them. They're gonna go in the garbage after this application. I'm gonna go out there with this spreader, I'm gonna fill it, and I'm just gonna spread it all in the middle, do the whole middle, really extensively. Oh, and I'm also going to turn off my aerator right now too, my pump and aerator, so I'm not going to have my filtration pump come on, and take that off. That's the on switch. And then the aerator I'm just going to disconnect, because I really want this stuff just to kind of sit there and settle. So the reason I'm going to do the middle is, I kind of have to know what you got, but I know that I'm losing water in the middle for sure, because when I had this quite a bit lower, it's very deep right here, and I was still losing water in the deep spot. Now I think that's because there's an underground spring. I know there's an underground spring because when it rains hard, there will be no water over the spillway, and this level will be continuing to rise. So I'm going to punch this stuff in super heavy from the kayak in the middle. And then later I'm going to come in and I'm going to run the well water over the spillway and bring it back up to full height. And if I've got weather cooperation, I'm going to do the perimeter after. I thought about filling it up and doing the perimeter now, but the thing is, it's losing relatively quick. And there are some areas like where this rock comes in, it's not really sealed to the concrete that well. And I tried to do what I could with the sodium bentonite, but it didn't really work. Like, here's the sodium bentonite that I spilled trying to put it in. It's cool, but the thing is, it kind of dries up and it's hard to really get to stay, in smaller spaces. So if I get sort of the bottom sealed, then I feel like I can fill it up and have it maintain more of a full level longer. I think I got a better shot of really sealing the stuff around the perimeter at the full height. Whereas right now, I fill it to a full height, I do the perimeter, and in 2 hours it's a little below the perimeter, and in 8 hours it's quite a bit below the perimeter. It's not going to get sucked into the passages. So that's my thought, and I've read all the instructions. And one thing that was pretty cool of the company is they said, this is how it's supposed to be applied. Part A, 10 square feet, part B, 10 square feet. But they recognize that some of their customers' ingenuity is pretty good, so think critically about it and do it how you think. So that's how I'm going to do it. It's $2,000, so I'm not going to do it carelessly, but that's, I think, my best shot to get this to work. So with no more talk, I got to jump on this before the wind picks up. quick video. So this stuff is a little tougher than I thought to work with. Really tough, but I was trying to knock this out before a meeting. You can see it's kind of got the skim coat on the surface. That was all solid, and then it started dropping in, just like I'd seen on some of the other videos. One thing though, in the earlier, being that I have a big leak in the middle, I thought I'd just start dumping material, and I noticed if the A and B get caught too close together, they kind of make these white fluffy clumps, and I think the water has a hard time penetrating that, and so they're not sinking. So I wouldn't do that again. But I got over here to go, and I got a meeting set, and I had to just go change my clothes and put on my waders, because I'm going to tell you, when this stuff mixes here on concrete, it's so slippery you stand no chance of not falling in. So I've been in there 2 times. Once I fell in and I thought, hey, this is all right, I'm just going to wrap it up. And then I fell in again and I could barely get out. It is really mucky, slippery. I literally took the boots and I just threw them in the trash because they got goop inside of them and everything. So I'm in the waders. I'm going to try to knock this out, but I got to log in my meeting. So it might be a little spotty video coverage here. All right, finally got application done. Now, look, I got a nice blanket across the whole thing, which took a little trial and error. I feel like the go-to was the seed spreader, kind of just getting it to fan out and then letting the water move away and getting it to fan out again. I felt like when I was going in the kayak, cross over myself a lot, and every time I crossed over myself, it would kind of drag the slime with me. So this is going to be really challenging for someone with a body of water bigger than this. This would be really easy for someone with a body of water smaller than this. This one was just tough because I really have no way to get out into the middle. So in hindsight, this is what I would have done different. I would have went out and I would have just used the seed spray. I would have never dumped it and left these clumpies. That's the only time it clumped up. I would have just tried to fan out the middle as best as I could, and then I probably would have come to the shore and just really tried to shoot it. And then actually before that, I would have put my waders on and walked out anywhere where it's shallow and shot it as far out as I could, backed out, and then shot it from the shoreline. But I'm telling you, it is slippery when it gets wet and gooey, and when it gets dry, it's actually fine. But when it's wet, it's real hard to handle. So time will tell. Let me look at the mark. It's probably about 10 o'clock on Thursday. We're down near the 6-inch now. Oh no, we're down at the 7. Yeah, we're at the 7-inch mark right there. So I'm gonna check it every several hours and see. This probably will take a while to flock down, but that was really the key, was finer application. The clumpy stuff turned out crappy. Fine application turned out good. The whole thing is like just a slimy layer on the top, so when that drops, I think it will work. Here's 2 inches after application. Looking like a lot of it has dropped in, but still quite a bit on the surface, as you can see here. Still kind of a surface slime. But then like here, for example, looks like it's clear. So I think it's sunk. And I haven't been able to, really babysit it much, because I got to do my work stuff. But it's interesting for sure. Yeah, it's definitely real slimy looking over here, which is the last part that I applied. So it looks like where I started, it's fallen in, and where I ended, it's not fallen in yet. So it's only been a couple hours. I'm gonna recheck. Okay, this is 6 hours in now. A lot of it has definitely clumped up and dropped to the bottom, out in the middle there, but still got quite a bit here. So I'm just gonna keep waiting. I do kind of want to get out in the kayak and start grabbing some of these, but I don't want to do that until the main film is down. So I don't want to drag this stuff over here and end up with nothing here. So I was reading through some of the stuff, you know, they say within a few days most leaks should be good. So I'd anticipate, you know, well before then, all this stuff will be, whatever's going to drop is going to drop. And then they don't recommend any reapplication for about 2 weeks. So the only thing I really plan to do is monitor, and when I do feel like I've gotten it sealed, I'm going to bring the level up just right up to its high point, and then I'm just going to put, I kept a little bit in a few of the bags, and I just want to get, you know, like here for example, that little crack between the stone and the concrete, there's countless of those, and if I put it in the water right now, it's not going to get in there. So when I get this to really more or less stop, I want to bring it up and then just hit, you know, just the edge, and then leave that. So that's the plan. We'll keep updating, although it looks like it's still going down. I'm around 7 3/4 down now, you know, approaching that 8 number. So TBD. Alright, I have to say, this stuff is extremely interesting. I'm just going to make a quick note here. I'm at 7 3/4 right now. It's about 4 something Thursday, so I don't remember how many hours. It's been 6 hours since I applied it or so. But check it out. You need to really do this when there's no wind. I mean, like, no wind. Or I would do slightly different if I was doing this again. I was going to walk out in there, but I just remembered it's so slippery. I'm going to end up eating it. So I'm just going to get close. All this stuff you see is kind of like clumped up over here. It was over there. I mean, there's like no wind, any amount of wind at all, and this stuff just starts to drift. So if you think you're gonna have wind, you definitely don't want to have these clumps, because these clumps are just taking too long. Where I put it out with the mixer, with the seed spreader, all that stuff has sunk. But where I was kind of throwing it out heavy and where I was kind of dumping it in, that stuff kind of like clumped up, and it's like this hard jello ball. I'm gonna grab one right here, and I'm really gonna try not to fall in. I'm telling you, this stuff is so slippery, it's just nuts. So check this out. Alright, it's like, it's just nuts. That little clump of powder swells up into this big hard jello ball, and I'd imagine these will probably sink, but it hasn't sank in 6 hours, so the chances of having no wind at all for, you know, that much time, at least around here, not likely. So those, oh, it is slippery. Okay, let me get back up. So those are the only things that are holding me up. Where I put it in really heavy, it got super thick, and it's just kind of hanging there. But like I said, I actually went in my waders, and I felt the bottom, and I can feel the gel on the bottom for where I put it in more fine. Putting in more fine is the way to go for sure. So gonna keep an eye on it, and I'll recheck. Okay, here's 24 hours later. Looks to me like it's probably still dropping. Also looks like all the stuff, all the smaller stuff off the surface is dropped, just leaving these big clumps, which I think will continue to hopefully drop. But yeah, we're definitely still losing. We're at 9.5. We're down 9.5 inches. So I'd have to look through my videos and figure out if that's slowed down or not. It doesn't really seem like it's slowed down, but there's the update. Still tracking the loss. Haven't sealed up yet, but what it did do, man, it started to flock this water. The water's clearing up super fast. We've got a few warm days, so all these fish I haven't seen in a couple months, boom, all of a sudden they're coming around for the warmer water, and it's just clearer. But it's about 1 on Friday, so I'm gonna check our numbers. Looks like we're down about 10. I'm gonna call that about 10 inches now. So definitely still losing, but still, I may have to give it a solid week. 2 weeks is actually what it calls for, but I'm still hopeful. All right, a little change of pace. It's 3 o'clock, January 15th. I forget exactly which day I did this treatment. Actually, I remember. It was Thursday, so it's been 48 hours. And overall, I know I still have, it's still leaking for sure, 100%. But this was the problem. When it was getting lower, I realized even as I had the polymer in the water, it wasn't making it into the upper spots, and it was just getting too low to really seal the level I wanted. So I kind of hit the reset button here. I just filled it all the way to the top. It took a long time. So it's literally full right now. So if you look, that's my baseline now. Right at the top, you can see it's just on the cusp of running under the spillways. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna keep this full for a week. I don't know how many hours a day I'm gonna have to fill it, but however many hours it takes is what I'm gonna do. I don't expect it will fill, I don't expect it'll seal 100%. The higher it gets, the more little cracks and crevices and boulders it encounters. And only within the last half inch or so, I developed this. So I've got a fairly steady stream there. And I'm gonna observe that. You know, if that slows down or stops, that's kind of will be a measure of the effectiveness of the soil-floc. But if it doesn't stop, it's not that big of a thing, because this is literally only when it's super full. Now where it's coming from, way in there, the first culvert kind of dips a little low, where the second one couples up to it, and that first one being a little bit low, it actually is perking up in between the first and second section. So I went in there and smoothed a little concrete over it, crawled all the way up in there, and it didn't seal it, but I didn't expect it to. But I'm also going to go through, you know, tomorrow and spread the Henry's roof sealant, just because I don't really want water going in. I don't anticipate putting roof sealant is going to stop the water from coming up. But I'm going to monitor this and see how it changes. And let me show you something. So check it out. Look at all these rocks that dip into the surface. So I was especially careful to flock a bunch of stuff there. Soil floc. I mean, I did the whole pond, but I went through later and I threw a bunch right up against those rocks. But the thing is, it's just, that's really, the more you see, that's asking a lot, you know. If it were to seal that, I would be shocked and amazed. But if it doesn't, and I get this water level, you know, several inches lower, and I mean, even over here and here, and it just keeps, you know, they knew where the water level was going to be when they constructed this 25 years ago. And I think they made it so like the rocks were just right there on the water. But I'm going to be good. I mean, if it starts to seal up 3 inches below those, that's going to be its new level. I don't need to necessarily have it right there. I'd be very happy if it's relatively full and holds water, and then when it rains, it'll be a catch basin for excess water, and then the excess water will go through. And that's why I want to put that Henry's roof sealant down inside the culvert, so when it is running, at least it's running out and not running down into the ground. So plot thickens, but documenting, like I said, Saturday, 3 o'clock, and I'm gonna keep checking every 24 hours. Well, it's gonna wrap up my soil-floc video. I did exactly what I wanted to do, and I kept it full, and I waited for, you know, that stuff to really clear up, and then I stopped watering this, and it's dropped literally 3 inches a day every day, and it's been 14 days, and I'm down at like about 44 inches right now. So safe to say, did not work. Doesn't even seem to have made any difference at all, and that was $2,000 worth of product. So I'm kind of back to the drawing board. I'm thinking about letting it drop until it stabilizes, and then at that point doing a treatment, because if I'm getting no difference in dropping on this level, apparently everything above where the water's at now is sealed. I'm still trying to, I really want to work this out because it's not practical for me to run 4 hours worth of water a day. That's just trickling from the pump circulation. But that is where I'm at. So this will be probably part one, and then hopefully when I nail it down, I'll have a part two and I don't give up on it. Probably not going to give up on it.